I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I've played all the mainline titles along with Code Veronica, which I personally consider a mainline game. RE9 is the first game that I bought at launch, and I'm proud of the fact that it is. After beating it, I have a lot of great things to say about it, so without further ado, let's get into it. In this new installment of RE, you play as a new protagonist named Grace Ashcroft. She's related to a former character in the RE spin-off game, which is Resident Evil Outbreak, named Alyssa Ashcroft. She's sent to do an investigation on a string of mysterious deaths where all the people who died lived in Raccoon City. The place she's sent to investigate was where she used to live and where her mother died. We see a flashback of her and her mother running away in a panic since someone is after them. We switch back to the present day where Grace hears a phone ring. She remembers her mother hid something in the hotel before she died. We then go and investigate, and upon investigation we run into the cop we met earlier who's clearly infected. He latches on to Grace and we have to try and get away from him. Once we enter the locked door, the cop turned zombie follows Grace and luckily she kills him with a broken piece of glass. She walks upstairs after hearing music and she runs into the main antagonist of this game. Musty, dusty, stink, rank-ass Victor Gitt. So far the start of this game is phenomenal. I have to say, the scene when you stab the cop in the eye and he smiles at you is very haunting. On top of that, running away gave me a lot of anxiety since Grace does a light jog instead of a full run. So you could tell she's not built for this, which isn't an insult to her, but a compliment towards the change for a vulnerable protagonist. We cut to my RE GOAT, Leon S. Kennedy, who has the same symptoms that all those victims Grace was investigating has. While my boy was whipping it in his Porsche, he saw musty-ass Victor Gideon carrying Grace, who has all that cake. While he tries to track him down along the way, he gets stopped by zombies that we have to shoot through. And in RE fashion, it's automatic mayhem. Do you know something? Every RE game that Leon is in, the beginning is always pure havoc. In classic Resident Evil 2, you start off immediately having to run through the herd of zombies. In Resident Evil 4, once you run into the first part of the village, you have all those townfolk trying to kill you along with the chainsaw wielder. In RE6, you're immediately running through and blasting through zombies. I guess Leon just attracts mayhem no matter where he is. When playing as Leon, we get this melee weapon which is a hatchet that he can wield for finishing blows and simple melee attacks. When the hatchet gets damaged, you hold on to L1 and square when playing on the PS5 to sharpen it so you can reuse it. It definitely brings back OG Resident Evil 4 vibes with the knife, which was goated as fuck by the way. Was able to save tons of ammunition with that method back then. Though the hatchet ain't as good as the knife in OG Resident Evil 4, it does deal awesome finishing blows. We also get introduced to the Requiem gun, which is a goated weapon by the way that deals fatal damage with one shot. We switch back to Grace, and during this part of the game, we meet our first stalker, which is a shadow monster. In order to avoid this thing, you have to go into rooms that have light. The monster's weakness is light. After installing the second battery needed to open the gate door, we switch back to Leon, and yet again, my guy's in a situation that's pure havoc. After slaying the zombies, Leon saves Grace from the shadow monster, only for them to get split up by musty-ass Gideon. In old RE fashion, we get a typical mansion layout that we have to explore. When going into a safe room, Grace finds this blind girl named Emily who's kept behind a glass door. When getting out the first keyband when going into the first bottom section of the care center, we run into a gang of zombies alongside the butcher we have to sneak past to further explore. The zombies in this game are quite intelligent compared to the zombies in previous games. You have one zombie who's singing opera, and might I add is quite the baddie for a zombie. Not gonna lie, your boy's smashing. Then you have the other zombies mumbling things and doing stuff they previously did, like the maid who's cleaning your face like crazy when she catches you. One of the most annoying zombies are the ones with a transfusion bag, who use the pole to hit you, which deals quite a lot of damage. Early in the game, you get this transfusion device that allows you to craft items such as ammunition, scrap to make ammunition, ink ribbons, makeshift knives, etc. The transfusion bag you get also gives you a good percentage of blood when you use it on the device. You can find buckets of blood throughout the mansion you can use for the device. You can also get some blood from zombies you've killed, but the amount they give will vary. When shooting zombies, sometimes when they stumble, it'll give you a chance to do a melee attack to move past them. When playing as Leon, you get the chance to give them a finishing blow with the hatchet. You also get antique coins, and if you've played RE7, you know that when you collect enough, it gives you access to items that help you. In the beginning, you have to find 3 parts for this door in order to escape. To get these parts, you have to solve these cabinet puzzles that make you match up the moon, sun, and star. When reaching the second cabinet, you run into the second stalker, which is Chunk. This big, slabby, baby-like monster only stalks the hallways. Since it's too fat, they can't reach you unless you're stupid enough to get too close to the door when it breaks in. Around this area, we get another cutscene with musty-ass Victor Gideon, where he activates the mutation in the zombies. And speaking of that, when the zombies are mutated, they are fucking annoying.
They move fast and one hit inflicts a lot of damage. The best way to kill them is using the Requiem gun or a shotgun depending if you're playing as Leon or Grace. There's also one point in the game when you need to find frozen organs to get access to the level 2 door. I did die a couple of times trying to kill the construction zombie since I was lost if I had to kill him with a headshot or not. The last cabinet, Grace can't use since it requires special use. That use being Emily, who can solve it with her keen sense since she's blind. Once you finish clearing out the barrage of zombies, you get the last piece for the door only for Emily to be taken by the shadow monster. After that, we cut back to Leon being interrogated. After this, we get into a boss battle with Chunk, who's quite the relentless fat fuck. After killing him, we jump straight down into the medical center. We then get to explore the medical center as Leon. I forgot to mention there's areas in the game that have cabinets that are sealed shut that only Leon can open. These sealed cabinets have supplies that you can use. The butcher was also a lot more easy to kill when playing as Leon. There was a sealed door you couldn't open at the beginning when playing as Grace, but as Leon you can. There's a secret door you get access to, but before that you have to slay a couple mutated zombies. Once you get access to it, we get a cameo of a character we haven't seen since RE6. Yes, that's Sherry.
And I might add, she also grew up to be one hell of a MILF.
We switch back to Grace and we get to my least favorite part of this game, which is the basement area. Emily is taken hostage, and to free her we need to get 3 plugs to fully power the basement. Throughout this area you use plugs to access each door so you can find the other plugs to use all of them to power the basement. While down here you also have to avoid the shadow monster who stalks the area as you try to go to each door. There's also a construction key you use to power some devices to move further in some of the rooms. There's also one point in this area where there's a disposal shutter that gets activated that you need to move further away from while also killing some of the live zombies along the way. You also get the recipe for Molotov, which is great because using it stops the shadow monster from attacking. Once all this is done, Grace has to rush to the elevator with Emily. This was quite anxiety inducing since all those zombies were coming after you. Once you get to the elevator safely, you shoot off the shadow monster and break out of the elevator while it falls temporarily to its death. We're able to use the last piece for the door and finally we can escape the care center. Along the way, Grace meets a pilot that she's rightfully suspicious of. He offers to take both her and Emily out if we can grab his keys, which are inside the nearby cabin. As you can guess, in classic RE fashion, the cabin has an underground laboratory that we move through. We finally find the keys, but in result, the zombies inside the tanks start awakening and we have to try to run past them. There's fire extinguishers that you can use to kill multiple of them. After making it through the havoc, we meet the pilot who tries to fly us out with the barrage of zombies trying to break through. Unfortunately and unsurprisingly, he fails with a tree branch through his heart with an injured Emily. After this, we switch back to Leon, who spots them and decides to help them move through. We get access to the rifle and blow those zombies' heads off. Once she makes it through, Leon and Grace meet again and Leon decides to buy her some time. We meet this mutated monster who you have to kill by shooting the big infected areas on his body. After killing off all the zombies in this area, we switch back to Grace who puts an injured Emily in an elevator. The shadow monster is down in this area and to permanently kill it, we have to open the hatch by turning the power on in the underground area. Once this is done, the shadow monster finally dies, but at the cost of Emily dying and mutating into a monster. After Leon puts the final bullet to end her, we get a heartbreaking scene with Grace.
Save her!
You don't understand.
No, I never would have escaped without her. This is all my fault. Again.
Look, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But we're still alive. We have to keep going.
No.
After that, a dejected Grace runs into Victor and we get an introduction to a legacy character, which is Albert fucking Wesker.
I gotta say, when I saw this, I was screaming my lungs out like a fanboy. I mean, Albert Wesker? Albert fucking Wesker makes a comeback? I know all the RE fanboys and girls lost their shit seeing this. Even after everything in RE5, the man simply doesn't die.
After that hype moment, we switch back to playing as Leon, and this is the point in the game where we play as him for most of the latter half of the game. We explore a long destroyed and abandoned Raccoon City. You get into a boss fight with a mutated spider. After Leon lands the finishing blow, we learn that the missile strike that happened back in RE3 that infamously wiped out Raccoon City wasn't ordered by anyone. After this, we see a gate that we need to access to get to RPD. In order to get through it, we have to find the distributor pieces. We also have a new save point, and unlike playing with Grace and using ink ribbons and the classic typewriter, with Leon we use a computer. With the computer menu, it allows you to purchase new weapons, ammunition, health items, and upgrade weapons in your inventory. To purchase items and upgrade your weapons, you get points from the zombies that you kill. And yes, surprisingly, there are still zombies in Raccoon City even after the nuke. And mind you, the zombies here look more terrifying. Once you clear out the factory area next to the save point, you'll find the first distributor piece. You need 3 in total. The next area you head to will be the Cedar Brook Apartments. When you get there, you're gonna have to find 2 batteries to open the flooded gate to access the other part of town.
When I first tried to find the batteries, I went to this underground area of the apartments where I just kept dying.
And that's because there's a horde of mutated zombies with a mutated monster. Those fuckers kept killing me. The last time I died in this area, I decided to start with the flooded area over the trucks first. In this area, you'll mostly be doing stealth kills alongside opening up loaded trucks, which will be like a mixed bag. Some trucks have items you can use and others have zombies ready to kill you. Once you've cleared the area, you get a Uzi gun and the first battery. After this, I went back to the underground area and thankfully was able to clear it. After that, I got the second battery. Once I used both batteries, the gate opened and I got access to the other side of town. Leon finds old footage of what happened to the BSAA, who got wiped out by the GOAT, Albert Wesker. We get the BSAA key, which allows us to unlock certain containers that can only be unlocked with this key. These containers contain special weapons that give you some items to help you along the way. You then head into the main building of the Cedar Brook Apartments and you kill some BSAA zombies along the way. Once you reach the roof, you have to dodge zombies that are using missile launchers. Once you get past the missile launcher and zombies, you get the second distributor piece.
Now disclaimer, I'm going to be using footage from my long play channel for this portion in this bit, since somehow I lost the recorded footage for this segment.
The next area you head to is a gas station where you get the gas can. Early in this section of the game, there were areas that required you to use fuel. Once you get the gas, you can fight through a herd of zombies and chainsaw wielding one as well. Once you kill them all, you get to refuel the gas can. The areas that require fuel give you items to stack up in your inventory. Once you've done this, there is an area you reach across that you need to zipline across. This area you have to walk up through tilted buildings while also shooting down boards in order to progress. There's a certain part in this area where the ground is glass and you have to kill BSAA zombies while making sure you don't fall through. Once you get past this area, you get the final distributor piece and you can finally blow the gate up. Once that's done, we get an awesome motorcycle and have to shoot down these BOW dogs while trying to chase down musty Victor Gideon. Eventually he crashes and dies and we head back to where it all started for Leon, the RPD. There's not much to explore after the nuke from RE3, but we do get this nice piece of dialogue with Leon remembering Marvin.
Hey, Lieutenant Brenna. Kennedy. Reporting for duty.
Eventually, Leon finds Grace with Wesker, overhearing their convo about how she's the key to Elpis, which is the last virus by Oswald Spencer. There's a section of the game where you play as a little girl in a flashback who has to escape these mutated children. I have to say, the game over during this section is the creepiest in my opinion. After that, we get the legend Mr. X that we have to escape from in the RPD. We get into a boss battle with him, and after defeating him, we head to the old orphanage. Eventually, you reach an area that has mutated plants you have to get through. Before heading into the laboratory, you have to defeat this giant mutated plant by shooting its core when it opens up. During the section of the underground laboratory, you have to go stealth mode against these Umbrella specialized units. These guys usually just fill you with rounds from their machine guns. To make things easier, if you shoot the gas tanks, it makes it harder for them to spot you. After clearing all these foot soldiers, we get to fight a familiar face amongst the franchise. It's fucking Hunk, the motherfucking Chad that can clear an area in 10 minutes that you struggled for in a night.
Aside from the GOATs Albert Wesker coming back, seeing Hunk and Leon meet for the first time is such a treat. Capcom definitely delivered fan service in this entry.
In this boss battle with the GOAT, we're just having a hatchet match. The second phase starts when he hits the gas tank. You shoot him enough times and the GOAT goes down, but not permanently.
I didn't do it myself, but if you go back to the room after the boss battle, his body disappears. And I'm glad because we can't have the GOAT Hunk going out in the boss battle like this. But Capcom, real quick, please make an RE game with Hunk as a protagonist, a true survival horror one. The OG deserves it.
After that, we run into Wesker trying to get the password for Elpis out of Grace. Leon and Wesker get into a battle which ends with Leon and Grace escaping from Wesker. We play as Grace again and have to break back into the laboratory. Lickers make a return, and since Grace isn't the character that has more variety in her weapons, we get to use a flaming acid bottle. This bottle takes lickers out instantly, and through the game in traditional RE fashion, we also shoot through deteriorated zombies. I find it interesting that in most of the early RE games, when you're near the end of it, you shoot through these deteriorated umbrella zombies. Anyways, there's a couple of doors you need to get access to in order to open the shut door outside so Leon can get inside. Early, you get the override key that powers the dump control room. Once the power is on, you get the magnetic key, which a couple of doors require to open them. When you head downstairs, there's a couple of Umbrella Corporation capsules you can access, which gives you items, but to reach them, there's zombies and lickers you have to take out. Once done, you head into the first Arc lab room, which gives a Noblest orb. The big red door you see when you first enter the blue door requires 2 orbs to open it. The second orb is in the other big blue door from the first area you entered earlier on. Once you get the second orb, you're able to open the door where you get access to this big surveillance room, and we witness the truth behind where Grace is from and see Oswald Spencer's final interview with Alyssa Ashcroft. We play as Leon for the last time, but at this point in the game, the G-virus effects have taken a toll on Leon, and there will be points where he's affected to the point of barely being able to move, and the screen gets blurry. Once you get through these hordes of lickers and zombies before meeting up with Grace, we see Leon, my goat, collapse on the floor. We switch back to Grace to meet up with him and meet Wesker again. This is a point in the game where they did something different. You have 2 choices, and depending on the choice you make, you get a good ending or a bad ending. In the bad ending, Leon gets killed, but since I love my goat so much, I picked the good ending, which is release Elpis. Once that's done, Leon is given the cure by Grace, Wesker meets a disappointing end, and we have the final showdown with Musty Gideon to wrap the game up. In the ending, it's shown that Emily lives and the Queen Grace adopts her like how Alyssa adopted her. We also get a little cameo about Chris as well, funnily enough. By the way, Capcom, I hope my boy Chris gets a bite of that Jill sandwich. Talking about Leon continuing the bloodline when he has an S-tier baddie right beside him who I know he wants to clap.
Well, that's it for this RE9 review. This game is a phenomenal sequel to the RE franchise. I love the difference in gameplay and atmosphere when switching back and forth between Leon and Grace. The amount of fan service throughout this game with character cameos like my goats Albert Wesker and the Reaper Hunk. The area layout in typical RE fashion was great as well. My personal favorite area is still the medical care center. And seeing Grace evolve throughout the game and get some good character developments was also a treat as well. This game is a 10 out of 10 hands down. It lived up to the hype, gave us a new protagonist who's a baddie like usual because Capcom never misses with its female characters. We got to see the DILF Leon, which I know a lot of the hoes was fucking thirsting over, rightfully so, because look at him! I heard they're bringing a new DLC at the time of this recording, and my guess is as good as yours. I just hope that Claire and Ada make an appearance. I mean, both of them haven't been seen in mainline games in years. You last see Ada in shitty-ass RE6 and Claire in Revelations 2. They need to make an appearance since they were there that night as well. I think the only disappointing thing in this game is that we didn't get to fight Albert Wesker. I mean, Leon and Albert Wesker doing a 1v1, that shit would be fucking goated. But other than that, I highly recommend this game. I mean, the reviews and sales don't lie. I also love how Grace is as a protagonist in Resident Evil. Well, I can say that for most female protagonists in the Resident Evil franchise. She's not an insufferable boss babe, unlike most in fucking entertainment these days. Capcom, you've cooked yet again my goats!